everybody doing? I've gotten a lot of requests to take a look at this Airstream that I built with my partner Chad, and had a rare opportunity of having access to it as the owner brought it back to have some upgrades and some minor repairs done. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. There she is. It's a 1961 Airstream Bambi. It was not a restoration, it was a reimagining and a way to make a useful modern trailer out of something so iconic and beautiful. So let's try to take a look at it and go over it. When we got it, the door handle was already bad, and rather than try to rebuild the door, we just worked with what we had. That's pretty straightforward. These panes of windows we etched so that they actually weren't clear anymore, but they've been falling off, so I actually took the time and I used some urethane to hold them in place now. Should be a little bit better. Although this is a new badge, the information's the same. That was just from Vintage Trailer Supply. I did save the old one. The old one is inside, and I'll show you where that's at. This is of course the original badge there. The tires, just white wall tires. I would have preferred just to go with a modern trailer tire, but I do appreciate the look of the white walls. Those are brand new. This is a Gerard tankless water heater, so it's a endless supply of hot water, assuming you had an endless supply of water. But the controls with this are pretty straightforward. I did just have to replace the cell switch on it. But other than that, it works great. When we went to polish it, I didn't want to polish the underbelly, so we went with the brushed appearance on the trim down there. On the back of the trailer right here, the most glaring obvious thing is right here. This was the original fresh water tank that would have been inside. It had been all rotted out, and rather than just throw it away, we repurposed it and cut a hole in it and made a door. And so now you can see the owner can keep the sewer hose, power cord, tools, stuff you wouldn't want floating around inside. The owner actually had these made, so he has a couple badges that were made. Pretty pleased with the way it turned out. This works out really, really well. We did actually even put a hitch on the back right here so he can put a bike rack on. Now this is a self-contained trailer, so it does have a gray tank and a black tank. It has a wet bathroom or a wet shower. So right down here, this is actually the for the black tank dump valve. Of course, the sewer hookup's right here, and there's the gray tank. The gray tank, we had to find some space above floor, and I'll show you how that works. Of course, right here, it's just city water hookup. Down below, there's a part cable hookup. Now, I've rewired it for his portable satellite dish that he just wanted to have installed. Well, not installed, but he wanted to be able to use that. Underneath right here, that's actually the vent for the gray tank. Since we didn't want to vent up into the roof and make all sorts of cabinetry, we just put a loop in. It does have a refrigerator. It's a 3-way refrigerator, and I've had it running all night. It worked great. It does have a furnace, of course. It does have 30 amp hookup, of course. This is, of course, the storage that was originally here, so this is the original door. Hidden right here is actually the battery disconnect switch. So the battery is right behind here. It's a Group 27 Deep Cycle AGM Blue Top Optima. So it is vented. The vent, you should be able to see right up here. So it's vented in and out. I don't ever really like it when they're not vented, when they're installed under a dinette booth. Now we did add a roof AC on there. Originally there would have been a great big long skylight looking crank open vent. It had long been past its life, and he wanted an AC anyways, so we'll touch that when we get inside, but we tried to do something a little bit more unique with that setup. I didn't point out, of course, you have your roof vent for the bathroom. That's just the black tank vent right up there. The previous owner, when he got it, there was a great big huge 4-inch or 5-inch duct for a I'm not sure if it was a furnace, a water heater, a stove, but we ripped that out, and rather than trying to redo that cap metal, just put a patch over it. So on the front of the trailer, there's a lot going on. So one of the biggest things he wanted was a generator, and of course there's not a lot of space on the 16-foot Bambi as it is, so we actually ended up putting a generator on the tongue. This cover pulls off. Now this handle was the original assist handle for going into the entry door, but with the awning we didn't have any room for that anyways. So this is a Onan 2500 LP generator. The roof AC is a much smaller AC. I think it's a 9,000 BTU AC, so it doesn't use quite so much amperage anyways, and doesn't have a lot of square footage to get through. But it does have remote start on the inside. Now because we put the generator right here, there wasn't a lot of room for the propane tanks, and so we went with these, I wouldn't say custom, but a little bit smaller tanks right there that we painted red to kind of match the whole scheme. At any rate, I would recommend you bring a couple extra bottles with you. But it does work, and it does have 2 of them with an automatic changeover regulator. Of course the landing, or not the landing gear, but the tongue jack is an electric tongue jack. Works really great. It's got the light you can turn on and off right there. This is the original style hitch, but it is new. Of course originally there was like a toolbox right there, but that was no longer in existence, and I didn't really want to make one, and we didn't have room for one. So other than that, this is your freshwater tank fill. In about the same location that it would have been from the original, but now it has I think an 18-gallon form plastic freshwater tank. Of course the last feature on the outside is going to be the awning. The awning is a Zipty awning that we did buy brand new for this, completely modify it to fit. So let's see if I can't set this up real fast. Alright, so it's an incredibly small or narrow awning, but it's incredibly long for its size. So it works out really well. The color scheme, again, just beautiful. Alright, so that's the exterior. We'll go inside now. I didn't point out the porch light. It does have a porch light. Alright, so turn the porch light on right here. And there's the inside light. The inside light we set up with 2 sets of ceiling lights. So the first set turns on with the entry light. They are LED lights. Alright, so here we are on the inside. We added the polished front interior cap and decided that because of the use of space on here, if we put a cabinet in here, it would have been a small one you'd hit your head on anyway, so we didn't put one on there. Made some custom decor lights right here. Alright, So, of course, the dinette does fold down into a bed. It's a fairly decent sized bed. This is one of the reasons why the customer brought this back. Originally we had a stone countertop that was really heavy to lower into place, so even though this is a new countertop, it looks identical to the old one. This is just a Corian solid surface, so it's a lot lighter. In fact, all of the countertops were changed out. We saved about 110 pounds. There's about. Of course, right down here, because we had extra space above the furnace, we put a wine rack. Furnace is right down here. Electrical center. Under here is where the battery is. That's the other side of the storage. Put a new battery charger in for this trip. There is no storage under here because that's where the freshwater tank is. Okay. Right down here, of course, is a refrigerator, three-way refrigerator. There's that original badge I was telling you about. It's aged pretty well. But rather than throw it away or get rid of it, we added it as the front of the refrigerator. It's a modern refrigerator. Cools great. Freezer's frozen right now. It's hard to see, there is ice in there. Over here on this side is where you turn your monitor panel at, turn the water pump on, turn the water heater on. Now the water heater is a tankless water heater, but that has to be on, so when the water flows, it can turn on. Of course, right here is where you can start the generator. See if it starts. And there it goes. It does have under cabinet lights here. Again, these are LED lights. Of course, right here is where we set up the TV. TV's nothing special. It is on a latch, so you can hinge it to watch TV from the dinette. This is the only closet, so this was specifically made to actually fit clothes. One of the upgrades we also did was on the countertop here. We added a bigger sink because the last one was too small with the sink cover. So there's an awful lot of counter space in here. Gave them a new faucet. There's your new 2-burner stove. That's not new. That's what he had originally. And here's some of the original badging from the outside where the refrigerator door was supposed to be open. Didn't want to get rid of that. It's above cabinetry right here. It's your radio DVD player. It goes down to that TV. Again, speakers are right here. Actually, 2 sets of speakers. There's a under cabinet light there. 2 more speakers over here with under cabinet light. Down here, of course, the microwave. Just a 120 microwave, nothing special about it, but it is built in. 2 drawers. More cabinet space right here. This was under cabinet lights, and then the other set of lights. Thermostat controls roof AC in the furnace. Of course, the roof AC is actually ducted. That was way too much work, and I probably wouldn't recommend doing it again. But that's the intake for it, and of course it has 3 vents. But I never liked the idea of that big plastic box hanging down right here that you hit your head on, so I tried to get it up as high out of the way as we could. Okay, of course right here is the bath. So there's not too much to see in here. Obviously the toilet's in here. There is a light you can turn on. And of course the vent pops up and vents. So the shower, it's really straightforward. Now the problem with this setup, if there is a problem, is that, like I said, the gray tank is actually underneath the microwave right there. So the the drain of the shower is much lower than the gray tank. So what we did was we put in a pump to to pump out the drain to the gray tank on this. Of course, the sink drains straight into the gray tank. That wasn't too much of an issue. Plumbing was a little bit of an issue, but right here you turn the switch, that turns on the pump, pumps the water out, and into the tank right there. I'm going to go ahead and turn the light off, make sure everything's turned off there. What you might be thinking is, okay, it sleeps one bed over there, but it actually sleeps two more. I'm sitting on the other bed, and I'll show you how to set it up. This was definitely a lot of work to engineer and put in, and see how it goes. All right, to do this, gotta get all the cushions out of the way, which is not uncommon on an RV. I did neglect to point out there is a little bit of found space storage right here, but it's not the easiest place to get to. There it is, the other bed. So this actually seats a lot of people, and it's not a bed, but as a bed it works out pretty well. The only thing you have to make sure is that it's fully out all the way, and these legs right here are engaged. Okay, the only other features I can think of worth showing, antenna boosters right here. We actually just installed that portable satellite hookup, so you can put the receiver right up here, and of course the roof AC. I can turn that on. Should hear it turn on. Of course, the air comes out here just great, and here just great, but here the best, which is fine because that's normally where I would be sitting. But believe it or not, there is an awful lot of sitting space in here, so at least 4 people could sit there comfortably. I can't say they could use the bathroom comfortably, nor would you want to be sitting there exactly when somebody was using the bathroom, but it's always an option. That's pretty much the trailer. I guess if you have any comments or any questions, put them in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks a lot. Cabinet light right there, and there was the other one. Sorry about that. Shouldn't run the generator with the door open. The exhaust goes right into the inside, but it does have the CO LP detector and a smoke detector in here, so it is safe.